Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. We are here at the Classic Cat, and this episode is sponsored by 8 Lab and Fashion Nova. Thank you for our drinks.
The libations.
Cheers to life, wealth, health, success, and happiness.
And a big 2023.
Yes, 2023. Let's do it.
So you gotta say 2023.
2023.
Yeah.
Tree. Okay. I have a very special guest today here with me. He is an artist, songwriter, the amazingly talented Will Gittens. Woo! That's the clapping. So for the people you're welcome. For the people that don't know your journey, can you tell us how you got to where you are today?
Okay. Well, just in the briefest way I know how, I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
So born in the islands. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee when I was 8 years old.
Nashville. Why didn't you get the country accent?
Well, you know what I'm saying? Hootin', I was like, I grew up in Nashville. Of course, that's a huge culture shock going from the islands to country as Nashville, Tennessee. And then I went through high school there. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Boston. I went to music school.
Oh,
so
nice.
A lot of people don't know, before I did in music, I was an athlete, and I was a serious athlete, and I thought I was going to do...
What sport?
Football, basketball, track. My favorite was basketball, and I had the athletic ability to be successful in all, but that's not what my path was going to be. And once I realized that, I was like, okay, let me go out to Berkeley and do music school, And it's when I got out today is when I realized, I could do this for real, And so that was I was there from 2010 to 2014. I got my bachelor's degree in music.
Amazing. Congrats.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to say this on your show, but I haven't said this, but right after music school, I went on The Voice.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so there's thousands of people throughout since I started doing music that's like, man, you should go on one of these shows, you should go on The Voice. And it's like, they don't even know that I tried it.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know.
It didn't work out, so they didn't turn chairs for me. And in essence, I think that it was a huge blessing because I was going to be Will Gittens from The Voice and this and that, and have that kind of attachment to my brand. And I'm really glad and blessed that they didn't take me. And so the year after, I came back to Nashville to kind of stay with my parents, because I'm like, I thought I was going to be lit. Everyone's going to see me and I was going to just skyrocket. I thought that was the path that God had for me. And so I went back home to Nashville, and then I was like, man, let me figure out how to get people to know who I am. And at that time, social media just started to boom. Vine, do you remember Vine?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So I remember I was like, man, I was always like, man, kind of felt like I was too good for Vine. I was like, let me give it a try and be consistent on there.
Right.
And I started to just Vine out of just kind of having a chip on my shoulder for the whole voice stuff. And in the span of a year, I built 1 million followers on it. And
oh, wow.
I went from no followers on Instagram to like 100,000. And so it really was an eye-opening thing for me, just realizing that as long as I align with my consistency and effort and God, then I don't need The Voice. I don't need any kind of
You didn't let it define you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like that was a great turning point in my whole career, just understanding that for myself, I then moved to Atlanta after that huge following happened.
Absolutely.
And I'm like,
so you were like, I'm ready for this.
I talked to my brother, shout out my brother JR, because he was living in Atlanta since 2008. He went to Morehouse out there and stayed out there and built a very great career, in the live music space. So I moved out there. I'm like, hey man, like I got millions of eyes watching me right now. You're the only producer that I know that would be down to work with me right now without having anything going, I was like, let's put music out. It's going to be successful. Like, I've always been someone that has vision for myself. And even when people don't see it yet, I always see like where it could be. And so like, luckily my brother aligned with me in that. And we put out our first like bodies of music and stuff. And since then it's just like, our music is being 6 figures, you know what I'm saying? As completely independent.
That's
which
amazing.
Especially being a Black singer is not really as common, It happens a lot for rappers and stuff like that. But to kind of say where I'm at right now, I just moved out to LA 2 years ago. I got to a threshold in Atlanta because I moved to Atlanta where I started to build with my brother, and it just got frustrating being there. I felt like I was working my ass off and it wasn't really bearing any fruit. And so in the pandemic, I was like, everyone was like, man, what's going on with the will right now? And I was like, might as well take this time where like the playing field is level. Nobody's working on anything. Nobody could tour. Nobody could do any of these things. So why not go out there and just be in that environment, And so it was the right timing, and it's been nothing but forward progressing, and I'm here now, and I met you.
That's amazing, amazing. I love it. So I'm going to take us all the way back to Nashville, Tennessee. and even actually, I'm going to take us all the way back to Trinidad and Tobago. Like growing up on the islands and moving to Nashville, how was that transition of just being an island boy to a country boy?
It was a huge culture shock. Like, how do you expect someone to...
And you have this accent, and then it's like everyone's has another type of accent. Yeah, so how did you adapt to that?
That's what I was about to say. How, like, do you understand when I first heard, like, I'm fixing her, I'm finna? I was just like, what?
What are you saying?
What is fixing her? How do you fixing her do something? Like, and they probably look at me and think I'm weird for saying tree instead of three. I can say three, but it's like, it was just like a weird culture shock, just with how we speak and how we communicate. But I feel like Southern people, the hospitality is the similar thing to Trini culture.
Absolutely.
We're a very hospitable people, and that's something that I see that's very common. It was very family oriented for the most part in Nashville. And so the change was, the adapting to it was a little difficult at first, because I came to America when I was 8 years old. So me talking to these kids used to make fun of me.
Right.
And out of, kids, you just like, okay, it's either you do what they're probably expecting of you so that you don't get made fun of and stuff.
Right.
And so instead of me saying, like going to the bathroom, I was like, can I go to the bathroom? Like,
you
and
I started to talk. And
then
like
I was in a public school system. So it's like, I had to learn I adapt a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I had to adapt to the surroundings so that I could fit the whole public school system in Nashville, Tennessee, which was freaking crazy, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that switch was very interesting, but
did you feel like you were like talking kind of like them to try to fit in so you don't get made fun of? But was that like, I guess, American accent kind of coming onto you as you're, as you grow into an adult and into a person? It's like, you're talking with an American accent, and then it's like, I'm doing this so much that now I'm talking with an American accent. And did you have to go back to like a Trini accent, or how did that transition work?
That's funny. So the crazy thing is, if I did not have the type of household and parents that I have, then I would have completely lost my accent, because if you think about, if someone is born in a Spanish-speaking country and your first language is Espanol, yes, you're going to learn English and stuff, but you're not going to forget as an 8-year-old how to speak Spanish.
Especially when you go home and everyone speaks Spanish.
Exactly. And so in that same light, it's like when I go home, people are like, oh, you've been in America for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But overall, it doesn't matter if someone speaks fast or slowly. I can understand everyone that speaks from my country. And it's people think it's a different language and stuff, that is patois like Jamaicans and stuff, but we just say so many different words differently. And it's a beautiful, like, it's a very sing-songy kind of, especially with women, how they talk. I go, no, you know what I'm saying? And so, but...
Do you feel like your love for music developed while you were in school, or just developed from the culture of, like, Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, I wouldn't even give it to just really Trinidad and Tobago. It's more, my biggest influence is my father, and my father's role in my life is a beautiful one. My dad didn't have a father in his life, and his mom didn't even want him, had him when she was 14. She just passed away last year, unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all good. But my dad was a Christian, he's a Christian contemporary artist in his own right. But the beautiful thing is that he had such a appreciation for American music and culture and artists. So as little kids in the island, I'm being exposed to James Ingram, Michael Bolton, and Michael Jackson, and Prince, and Joe, and freaking Tank, and then on the gospel side, the Kirk Franklins, the John P. Keys, and the Hezekiah Walkers, and you know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
as a kid, my dad is literally just putting all the things that he's inspired on, and I'm a little kid taking all this stuff in. So by the time I came to America, and I experienced so many, like in addition to what I've already learned, so many
Absolutely.
different cultures and music. That's why I sound the way I do, you know what I'm saying? And so it's
Because
such a
it's like you don't
combination.
have the accent when you sing.
No, I
you
don't.
sound American when you sing.
Yeah.
It's like kind of how people act when they are British, like Idris Elba,
Mm-hmm.
and then he speaks American when he acts, and it's almost like a character
Mm-hmm.
that you're. Do you feel like when you sing, it's a character?
To be honest with you, I don't even think about it when I'm singing like a regular song, and it's hard to explain, you know, because our accent, because it's soca music and stuff like that. I actually just dropped my first soca song
Oh,
right
so
after
dope.
Carnival, yeah, and so our accent is to sing on it is very. When you do it with music, it's very aggressive, and it's hard for me. And I have a very sultry, like smooth
Soft
voice,
voice, yeah.
right? So for me to go in there, I just be like, I break down the table that she puts in the dialogue, rather than I broke down the table. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
like the accent is super aggressive.
Yeah.
So even if I'm trying to be smooth, it wouldn't sound as smooth. So it's just like naturally when I'm singing a song, I just
And you
do
grew
it.
up listening to American music. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like second nature for you to sing with an American accent.
Exactly, especially because that's the like a market that is very fruitful if you want to do music, to be in the that's why even somebody like Adele, like the London circuit or the England circuit is very fruitful, but for her, she could connect with the London and American and
Absolutely.
wherever else if she sings the way that she sings. And that's kind of why we do the same thing. It's like Trinidad has 1.3 million people. It's a very small country. There's a lot of talent there, but you got to do what you got to do to reach the masses.
Oh, that's an amazing journey, and you went from athlete to music.
Mm-hmm.
How was that transition into like sports and just being disciplined and being in shape and being healthy to completely a different avenue?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I'm still healthy.
Absolutely.
Even though I transitioned from doing sports, and like I was, see, just as much as I pursue my music, I used to pursue like sports in general. You know, especially basketball. I put a lot of hours shooting, and like I had a cul-de-sac in Nashville, and I used to shoot all like every day and put a lot of hours into that. And to be honest with you, my mom and my dad love me to death, and that's no doubt. But I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers, right?
Oh, wow.
And so my brother and I, we're the oldest. I'm second born.
So there's
And-
7 in
yeah,
total. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so I'm like, Mommy, I want to play basketball on this AAU team.
You're the second eldest.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I'm like, yo, Mom, I want to play on this AAU team. The coach is saying that's going to cost $250 for this summer. Can you do that? You know, as a little 14, 15-year-old telling my mom that, she's thinking about, you know what, the other kids, the other bills and all these things that she had to do. She didn't know that if I would have gotten that extra looks and the extra coaching and stuff, that I would have been a way for me to go to college for free and stuff like
Right.
that. And same with my brother with football and with soccer, you know, where we just very athletic. We're one of the most athletic people in the whole city, you know what I'm saying? And so even though my mom, and this is something that we talked about when we got older, is like my mom, they didn't know any better. And unfortunately and unfortunately, they tried out with our little sisters. And all my little sisters went to college
Nice.
debt-free because they invested in their volleyball and track.
Nice.
And I would be lying if I say it didn't hurt me to see that.
Yeah.
Because I was very passionate about it, and I tried to convince my mother. But because I know that my mom and my dad was doing the best that they could with a lot of us, I was able to I don't want to say forgive, because it's not one of those things. They didn't do that to try and hurt me. But if I wasn't doing good in school, my mom took me out of sports as a punishment.
Right.
You know, and so it's just something that they just utilize as punishment, and then spend tens of thousands of dollars on the children to get them. And that's the thing. I love my sisters, and they deserve that. But
Absolutely.
I feel like God is intentional with everything He does.
Absolutely.
And He knew that my brother and I impact on the world was going to be stronger in music, so he had to make sure that my parents didn't put in the AAU. So
Yeah, so it worked out in your favor, thank God. And I feel like because you said that you have this kind of like, I guess like a envy, jealousy type of thing with what happened with your sisters, with, you know, them being able to get the finances to do the sports that they wanted to do. And now they're successful in their college sports and extracurricular activities. If you had a choice now, knowing what you know now and knowing that you're successful in music now, would you choose to be able to go to that AAU school or take on that $250 summer league tournament or whatever it is that was going on for sports?
No, well, with knowing what I know now, that's why I could be as at peace with the whole situation. Is because like it's kind of like, God, I see what you was doing, you know. At the time, are you asking a 16, 17-year-old kid that wants to
and never did music before then?
I used to just dabble because I loved it naturally, but I thought that I was going to be make it to the NBA.
Yeah.
You know
and you knew naturally you could sing. It was just never something that you genuinely put forth effort into doing.
Exactly. And so it's one of those things where it just is, a lot of times God gives people gifts, and just because you have a gift doesn't mean you can't cultivate it and build and shape it. And so once I just made the decision where I was like, you know what, sports is not going to be my thing, even though I've been working this last majority of my life to make it a thing. It was a hard transition, but once I got locked into music, it was a wrap. And I was like, okay, let's get it. You know what I'm saying?
Was being that transition was hard, what hardships did you have to face to kind of put music before sports?
That's a good question. Well, once I decided that I was going to do music is, I don't want to sound weird, but it's kind of a depressing type of field, you know, to be in. It can be very fruitful, but it's like gambling, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's so many people doing it now, especially now that everyone can do music. And it's very difficult to try and set yourself apart when there's millions of people trying to be the next big thing or be a singer, be a songwriter and stuff like that. So for me, once I started to do music, I was just like, you know what? Like, it doesn't even matter, because when I first got out to Berkeley, I used to go to the YMCA, still freaking dunking on niggas, you know what I'm saying? And I just was like, man, I still got it, this and that, but I still had to discipline myself and be like, you know what? As much as I want to be the next like big athlete, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, nah, I feel like you're meant to be here, and it felt like I fit into that school like a glove. And it felt right.
Or you didn't have to change your persona or change the way you talk, and it was me.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. Even like my last year and a half of high school, I just realized, because I went to a private school, shout out Ensworth High School in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was a blessing to go there, because it's like it was like $25,000 a year, and of course my parents weren't paying that. We were just got scholarships and stuff, because when you're Black going to a predominantly wealthy school, they just have programs to kind of help that in that way. And I'm very well educated, which was a huge blessing. But it's just like that whole, I kind of literally lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You were talking about the transition that you had in going to a private school, going to a private predominantly white school and getting like a grant from your parents didn't have to pay that $25,000 fee that you had.
Oh yeah, I forgot like what the whole overall thing was.
Like not being able to pay for your school and still pushing out music, but
I think I was saying that to say that
you fit into that school.
Yeah, well no, that's what I was saying. I started to realize that, like, hey, these kids in this school don't even really know who I am. Because you think about it, I didn't really have much of a social life outside of school. And so I'll go to school, and that's really the only people that I was able to engage with as much. I didn't really get to go to the movies. I didn't get to go, because Trinity people and anybody that's watching, Island island parents don't trust nobody. You know what I'm saying? So if I wanted to go to the movies just like all the other kids used to do, and I didn't have no car, so it's just like I was popular amongst my peers, but when kids started to get cars and they have their little groups and they go into Sonic and they go into freaking McDonald's to have link ups after football games and stuff, I wasn't allowed to do any of that stuff. And so it's just like once I literally I realized, I was like, yo, I'm going to just start being myself. And then some people thought I was putting on an antic for starting to talk like this. But once I leave that school and I go home, this is how I'm talking to my family.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I was able to hold my accent, which is I go to school and I come back home and it's all of us. There's 9 people in that house, straight Trini, flying through the whole house, you know? And so, yeah.
So the accent came back in college. At the college or high school?
It was like late high school, but that's when I was, to be honest with you, I just was like, F it, I'm gonna talk the way I naturally talk. Because if you think about it, when I first moved here, I used to only talk the way that I felt people wanted to hear me because they were like, yo, you sound weird, you know? And so I had gotten so accustomed to that. And I'm like, wait a minute, like they don't even realize that's not the real me. I am just doing that, you know what I'm saying? And so I just, as a 17-year-old was like, let me be myself, you know? And then when I got to college, it's everyone from all over the world is in that school. So I'm like, I could super be myself now because none of these people know me anyways. You know?
Was it mentally depressing having to go every time you wake up, go to school for years of just like being someone else so you don't get judged?
I wouldn't say that it was that hard. I feel like the first the only thing that was hard is when I was as an 8-year-old. You're like, you're this,
as a kid,
as chipper little kid, and kids is literally laughing at you in your face because of how you talk. No, kids are mean, you know, and it's because they're brutally honest. They don't know how to be fake yet.
They're mean because they're too innocent, because they don't know better, so they don't do better.
So they don't have anything in their mind to be like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't make fun of this kid right now. They'll just be like, hey, you sound funny. Haha, you sound funny. Like, and so for me, it didn't really affect me that much. It just was like, I rather learn to talk like you so that you don't annoy me and make fun of me.
Right.
You know
exactly. It was an adaptation, the resilience that kicked in. So when you got into music school and wrote your songs, what was the like aha moment that like, okay, I'm here, I made it, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm at, forget sports?
You know what? My freshman year of music school is when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to forget sports, because remember I told you I used to kind of dabble going to AAU.
Right.
And to be honest with you, throughout, we used to, like, musicians, there's some of the musicians at the school that used to be athletes, and we used to all go hoop at this gym called Simmons, all girls school. They used to have an open gym type thing, and we used to go there. And it's like, I still was super athletic, so it was exhilarating for me to still not fully let go of it. But to be honest with you, once I left Berkeley, I just was like, in order for me to be as successful as I am now, I needed to really lock in.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm someone that sometimes people may think I'm negative, but I'll just speak it from my truth. I haven't had people come in and be like, you know what, man, you're a star. Let me an angel investor that's like, yo, let me, I believe in you, man. Like, what you need, I got you, this and that.
Right.
My experience has been more on somebody sees me and they see that I'm green, so that instead of them helping me, they just go and they try to figure out what they could take from me first, you know. And I pray every night that God sends me people that mean well and that's going to bless me and help me get to the next level.
Absolutely.
You know, but as a man, you just gotta realize that unless you continue to work and be consistent for yourself, you can't expect anybody else to do that.
Absolutely.
And I continued with that.
Absolutely.
And I'm 30 years old now, and I'm not stopping. Like, if somebody comes along that figures out, oh, this dude's a cash cow, like, let me invest in this, then let's get it. You know what I'm saying? But till then, I believe in myself wholeheartedly. It doesn't even matter if nobody else in the world does.
And that's where it starts, with self-reflection and just believing in yourself, because if you don't, then who else is going to believe in you? And how are you going to persuade them or inspire them to want to be a part of your journey if you don't believe in yourself.
Facts.
So I think that's where it starts. And I think that you're in a pivotal position in your career to where other artists, big name artists, like Chris Brown is singing your songs and doing covers. Now it's like people knew you for doing covers of other people's songs. And then you had a successful song. Now Chris Brown is performing your song. So how was that feeling of having like a mainstream artist perform your music?
I appreciate that. It's a really good question. It feels amazing. I actually was talking to my little sister Nikki the other day, and she had this little MP3 player, right? And I used to listen to Forever by Chris Brown on repeat like every single day. I thought that song was so brilliant, and I was a 15-year-old, you know? And I listened to it all the time, and I remember I told myself, I was like, man, one day I feel like I could write a song for him, like, or hopefully I could do a song with him one day. And like I posted on Instagram the other day of him singing the song that I performed in his tour in London. And I've been, this year especially, I've had some surreal moments happen for me that it's like, I'm not necessarily like a super like mushy dude, but it brought me to like tears of gratitude and appreciation, because I'm like thinking about the youngest me, even when I wasn't even that tapped into music, to having such undoubted belief in myself that I would continue to push through and do stuff, even when it seemed like an impossible task. I'm an unpublished songwriter, so there's nobody going and pushing things for me and doing things for me. And in that same light where I told you, it's like I realized no one was going to come to save me, even when I showcased my talent, you know?
Right.
And sometimes people showcase their talent, everyone's like, oh man, we love you, this and that. And even though people may think that's what happened for me, I don't know what it is, but it might just be my path that God has for me. But I just continue to do the best I can. And I remember I heard 2 albums, I think Heartbreak on a Full Moon and Indigo by Chris Brown. And I heard a lot of music on there, and I'm like, yo, if this is the type of music he's taking, I could get a song on Chris Brown, you know? A lot of people don't know. This is probably the first time I'm saying it in an interview. Guess what, if you would think, what would be an impressive amount of songs that you think that I would send the artist that you'd be like, that's a lot of songs? How many songs do you think I sent to Chris Brown?
Oh, how long? For like what length?
In a span of 2 years.
50 songs.
50?
Yeah.
And that would be impressive?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I sent 150.
Oh,
songs.
wow.
Yeah. And so a lot of them, I'd say probably like 30 to 50 of them were stuff that I had already had that I'm like, well, maybe they'll like this. But in the pandemic, it was crazy. And people don't even know that song that I got for him it's called Dream. Me and my friend AJ, shout out AJ, he's the one that wrote it with me. We wrote that, I think, March 12th. So it was either like right around when the pandemic just first hit, and they was like, hey, we're shutting stuff down. And that's when we did that song, you know what I'm saying? And
so this is a song 2 years ago that's just now coming out.
That just dropped last year in June. So that whole time we had already know that he liked the song and that he recorded it. It used to be called Scream. So I still have my demo, and we called it Scream. And I think he probably has a song called Scream already, so he changed it to Dream. And, you know, and for me, it's just like, I sent 150 songs. They took like 8 of them, and he recorded probably, I think, 6 that I know of that I got confirmation. I still haven't heard the other 5 songs, but for me, it's just like to think so that people are like, that's watching this, to know how hard it is. It's like, I sent 150 songs and one made it. You know, and I'm completely grateful that I'm at least a part of that. You know, I'm Grammy-nominated songwriter now, and so
now you're published. Now you're Grammy nominated.
Well, I'm not published yet.
Oh, so you're still not published?
Yeah, and that's intentional on my end. It's like
okay.
And anybody watching this or that knows me is like I'm big on ownership. You know, I feel like in general, Black people don't own enough, and especially in this nation, considering how much of a part it was for Black people to build this nation.
Right.
And I'm not even talking about reparations and stuff. I'm talking about the fact that most Black people don't own like properties and a lot of stuff like as much, you know. And so for me, I look at my music as property. And so I'm going to hold out on not signing something until I know that something is going to be a reflection of what I know I'm worth. The blessing is the only time people sign publishing deals and record deals is if I need this money to survive. Thank God, right now with the stuff the business my brother and I developed, we're making enough that we're living comfortably and we're living good. Now we trying to step into that flourishing type phase where we just making mills doing this stuff.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen this year, you know, and
No,
it's just because of the relationships that we're
Absolutely.
continuously building, because my brother and I are genuine people. A lot of people don't know I'm in Trinidad and Tobago. We were born in a dirt yard. My grandmother, before she passed, on my dad's side, she was one of my biggest inspirations to work, because she still, before she died, lived on that same property my dad was born on. It's dirt yard, chickens, and like roosters on there. And it's
Yeah.
like, I still have videos of showing you where my last name comes from. And even though I'm a prideful person, even with my
Upbringing.
you know, I still, the reason I do what I do and I go so hard is so that I could change my last name. And what, like back then, it was just associated with poverty. And I know that my parents did an amazing job raising us, and I would be damned if I don't give it my all to change the legacy of my family and then begin a new legacy for myself. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
so when people see me, it's just like, I hope what the people see that I'm passionate about this, but if they don't know, I have different reasons for making it in this industry. Money is paper
Absolutely.
to me, man. It's like, the more great that I'm going to be, money will come. I'm not doing this so that I could be rich or so I could get women and this and that. I'm trying to retire my parents that I've seen work their ass off my whole life. I'm trying to help my family back in Trinidad. Like, we do help with what we can now with what we have, but to the point where it's just like, I wanted to see my grandmother live her last years, like, experiencing luxury living, or just like non-poverty living.
Absolutely.
And to be honest with you, that kind of hurt when she passed, because I felt like that was a huge part of my purpose of just doing this. But it's all good. I know she's like a guardian angel now, and so I'm just going to
Absolutely.
continue to just do the best I can with what I have, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I just feel like your heart and your mind and your love for God is going to continue to bless you and your future and your music and so forth.
Thank you so much.
For everyone that comes on this show, we play this game so people can get to know you outside of who you are on social media, Vine,
Okay.
TikTok, MySpace, whatever social
MySpace,
media you've ever had in
going
your
old school.
life. You
Okay.
know, it's called Pick Your Poison.
Pick your poison.
Very, very fun game to get to know you outside of who you are.
Okay.
It's a game of would you rather. So would you rather do what's on this card, or would you rather do what's on that card? Rules of the game. You have to answer. You can't remix your answer, but you can give an explanation.
Okay.
And I play with you, so you're not in the hot seat by yourself. So we're going to pick 6 cards, and we're going to read 2 off to each other. And
pick 6
we
cards?
decide. Yes.
Let me just go and mix up the thing
Yeah,
right here.
mix them up.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right.
I'm going to start off easy.
Excuse me. So you going first?
Yes, I'll go first.
All right.
Okay. Would you rather have sex with the first person you see after leaving the room, or proceed your name with the real every time you say it?
Proceed the real every time I say it. And the reason, do I explain
Yeah, you
why?
can absolutely.
The reason why is because if I walk out the room and it's not a woman, then, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't specify if it's a woman or a man.
Anyone,
I'm a straight
yeah.
man, so I'm not attracted to men. So I would take the other one, so, because you're not gonna know who is gonna be outside that door.
That
when you
is
leave,
true.
you know?
That is very true. All right, it's on you.
All right. Would you rather have someone die every time you masturbate? Wait, is there another one?
No, and you pick the next card, or the next card.
Or have a highly skilled hitman hired to kill you for the next 24 hours.
What? So either I die or someone else dies every time I masturbate.
No, so every time you masturbate, someone dies. Or have a highly skilled hitman hired to kill you for the next 24 hours.
So I have to escape a hitman, or someone else dies when I masturbate.
Yeah.
Okay, I will pick the someone else dies when I masturbate, and I just won't masturbate and just have regular sex. I mean, that's easy. Like, I feel like, why would I run for my life from someone that's a known
super good at killing people.
assassinator?
Right.
Like, absolutely not.
That's
Okay.
hilarious.
Would you rather bring a sex doll everywhere you go? That means performing everywhere you go, or instinctively know when everyone you know is going to die, but be unable to do anything about it.
That's tragic. I would bring these stupid sex doll everywhere I go.
Exactly.
Because I could at least do a job, like explain, be like, don't worry about this. But I wouldn't. That's torture to know when people are gonna die. Like,
and not do anything about it. That's that's mean.
All right. So let me see. I don't know why it's upside down. Would you rather show up to a good friend's wedding wearing only a purple thong, or have a fat, bald man appear out of nowhere and hit on you every time you sneeze?
Oh, I would rather show up to a wedding in a purple thong.
But that's the thing. It's like,
it's a one and done type of situation.
Does this mean like just a purple thong and nothing else? Or like you, because they didn't really specify, if you really think.
That is true. Or just a purple thong. I mean, I feel like my chest looks good, so it's better than every time you sneeze.
But that's the thing. Every time he sneezes, he's hitting on you. He's just
hitting on you. So it's not like. But what if I have like an allergic reaction to something and I'm sneezing all day, and here's this fat bald guy that's just like. Point. Oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And then the wedding thing is just one and done. And that's it's facts. Like, And then you're going to be like, well, I look good anyway. So I did it, and it, wedding gift. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Last but not least, would you rather die alone or kill 10 people and get away with it?
I would rather die alone. For some reason, I don't know. I think I value human life.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't even matter what the situation is. I would rather suffer for myself than to take someone life. Even if someone is deserving or they did something terrible, I just feel like I would just rather.
It'd be hard to live with yourself.
Exactly.
And then you have to like sleep and think about that moment every time.
Yeah,
I agree. I would rather die alone than to have that on my conscience.
Hell yeah.
And that it's just a lot.
Right.
Too much.
I feel that. All right. Last one is have a sexless marriage or be unable to have sex without getting pregnant.
Be unable to have sex without. So every time you have sex, you're getting pregnant, or have a sexless marriage.
Wait, hold on. Be unable to have sex without getting pregnant. So you could have sex with someone and never get pregnant.
Oh, I'll take that all day. I got 8 kids. Give me the not get pregnant.
Okay.
My man would hate that card, by the way.
No, right?
He would hate that card.
Yeah, he's not going to be like that card.
Like, he's like, oh, no, not that one. But I would do that because, I mean, like, we have 8 kids, let him tell it. The Bible said be fruitful.
And multiply.
And multiply. But it's like we've multiplied enough.
Right.
So we're good to go.
No, that would be good for your circumstance. Yeah. But for me, having a sexless marriage, I have not been married before.
Sexless marriage or no kids. Yeah. How would you handle that? What would you say?
A sexless marriage or no kids. I grew up having a lot of siblings, so I know that I can't have just no kids. I want to have kids. I want to have a legacy to pass on, But then again, it's like sex is such an important part of life, especially when you're lucking with somebody. So I don't know. I'm glad that wasn't my question.
Tell everybody where they could find you, what you have going on, all that good stuff. I'll take them.
Oh, okay, for sure. So my name is Will Gittens. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. Everything, it's Will Gittens.
No MySpace.
No MySpace. You know what's crazy? I had a MySpace, but it was I didn't even know how to use it. And I just barely spent time on there. But it's at Will Gittens, WILLGITTENS.
And make sure you tune into all things Will has going on, his music. Mainstream artists like Chris Brown performing his songs, and that is it for Telli Talk.